What's going on, guys? This is Bobby Douglas, and this is just part 2 of the JT Thor full game video breakdown. So I'll get that started right now. Remember, he's going to be number 10 in the blue. So right here, guarding Justin Smith, I believe, for Arkansas. He had a lot of interesting plays in the first half. You kind of saw the rawness of JT Thor at its peak with some of his decision-making. And we also saw, some of the appeal just in terms of his shot. His shooting form, his fluidity, things like that. And we got a rebound right there. It looks like Thor maybe missed that box out. But here we go. Again, close game for the second half because Arkansas is kind of coming back and they're ultimately going to win by 1, I believe. We got Thor right here being guarded by Jalen Williams. That's a nice pass out to, I think that's Cambridge, right, for Auburn. But yeah, decent pass from Thor. Again, he's kind of trying to work on that whole decision-making thing, whether it be passing, deciding whether or not to shoot, things like that. It's all going to kind of come as he kind of improves and gets more experience playing. Because right now, he's just one of the more raw prospects, and that's why right now I have him outside of my first round, despite him probably going into the first round on draft night, just because teams are going to love his upside. And we got a turnover, looks like right here. No, just a deflection. And here we go. So you can see Sharif Cooper just kind of, that's a really nice pass from Cooper. But JT Thor for 3. Can't get that one to go, but right here you can kind of see the appeal because he looks like a guy who should be shooting this type of shot, right? It doesn't look awkward. It doesn't look forced by any stretch. And so he looks very confident with the shot, which I think is a key thing, right? Good footwork, good form up top. So that shot doesn't go in. And remember, he only shot 29% from 3 on the season. But overall, I do appreciate that shooting motion that he does have. And I'm not going to say, for sure he'll end up being a good shooter or just like a league average shooter. But I do appreciate the fact that he's willing and confident to take those types of shots. This was a guy, I think he shot 2.5 threes per game despite only shooting 29% from 3. Which I think is really funny. Kind of just shows that confidence. People did have an issue with his shot selection at times. But overall, the confidence, I think, is there with Thor. And we see, looks like another 3-point attempt. Can't get anything going there. And here's Thor going to be guarding. Again, that's Justin Smith. You can see just simple things right here. He's just kind of late to react. Justin Smith's going to cut right behind him, and it takes him a second to kind of process this, right? Yeah, whoops. Oh, yeah. He looked kind of shocked right there. He doesn't, not catastrophic by any stretch, but just kind of little things where he kind of can fall asleep at times. Again, the effort, the motor is there. Obviously, I think he's not a guy that's lazy by any stretch, even though right here, decent contest from Thor, but you can kind of see him. Let's watch him defensively here. Again, you see that kind of swipe down, right? That kind of gets him off balance. The second he swipes down, Justin Smith knows that he can beat him off the dribble. And granted, he does a really nice job recovering and kind of making that a tough finish, right? But we're going to see a lot of that in the second half where he's kind of overreaching, gets his hand in the cookie jar, and then it leads to an easy opportunity for Arkansas on the offensive end. And here's Thor, not much going on with him offensively. Again, kind of was used. And there's Sharif Cooper, another really nice pass out of that. Looks like that was Spain. It's like a Spain alley-oop play almost. We got Thor on Smith again, so very versatile. And right there, you can kind of see just the video is kind of crappy in some spots, but you're gonna see right here Thor showing that potential as a weak side rim protector. He's gonna just swat the shit out of this shot, right? And it's going to be Arkansas ball. Or no, never mind. Auburn saved that. So, good on Thor, though. We're seeing that devastating length that I talked about in the first half where he just makes life super difficult for opponents offensively just because he's able to get into passing lanes. He moves so well for his size, so he can block shots. We all saw the Giannis block, on DeAndre Ayton yesterday in Game 4 of the finals. I could see JT Thor making a similar type of play if he ever kind of gets the, overall nuances of rotations down, right? Because that Giannis play was a lot about his athleticism, right? But it was also kind of just about his intelligence, right? JT Thor is kind of lacking in that second aspect right now in terms of knowing where to be on the floor. Right here, another time where he's just kind of throwing up that weak left-handed floater. And again, just the overall decision-making, the shot selection is not great. But right there, decent contest. And I think there's going to be a foul and one. But JT Thor had a decent contest right there. Just didn't go his way. We got a free throw. And here we go. JT Thor bringing the ball to the floor. He gets it to a teammate. Auburn's going to miss that shot, and Arkansas rebound. And again, this was like a 12-6. I think it might have been like a 17-point game. Auburn had the lead, and they just kind of like, it evaporated very fast. JT Thor right here, really nice job kind of contesting that shot, making life difficult for Justin Smith, right? Again, just having that straight-up vertical contest, using that length to force a pretty wild reverse layup opportunity for Smith. And we got Allen Flanagan with that rebound right here. And that's going to be a charge. Yeah, that's SEC wasteland right there. So again, now Thor is on Deontay Davis. Not Deontay Davis. Right there. Again, just kind of falling asleep, getting caught ball watching, right? So, like, he's just a half second late, and because he's guarding this quicker player in Davis, I forget his first name. It's like Devontae or something like Devontae, something like that. But he's really good as a freshman. I'm just blanking on the name. But, he's just going to kind of backdoor him, right? And JT Thor doesn't really get into a good position to rebound, and it leads to an easy putback, right? And so those things happen way too often with him, where a team's really going to have to be patient with his development, because, like, the first few years in the NBA, like, he's not going to be very productive of a player. He may show flashes. He may, maybe have some really good overall games, but then other times, most of the time, probably, you're going to be kind of wanting a little bit more given his frame and fluidity. We got a media timeout right here. JT Thor almost got another block right there. And again, they kind of used him as a primary rim protector defensively, Auburn did, which I thought was interesting. He definitely has, like, the bounce to do that, but in this NBA, I think he's way more suited to be primarily a wing defender and then kind of that weak side shot blocker. Right here, again, just another bad pass. Just doesn't really have that feel for the game yet. Kind of leads his teammate the other way, leads to a turnover, right? We got a foul back there, it looks like. And Musselman looks like he's pissed. And here we go. We got, so again, Thor's on Desi Sills now, who's a smaller player. Looks like a little bit of a miscommunicated switch. Let's run this back. So again, it looks like this guy did not, I don't know who this is for Auburn, but he did not do a good job kind of like getting around that screen whatsoever. Thor probably needs to recognize that his teammate's in trouble and kind of hedge there, right? Instead of just kind of going back to his man. This guy actually does a decent job getting a late contest up there, but that could be a lot smoother of an operation for Auburn defensively. And again, just like whenever you're, like, Auburn was a very young team this year, so they're going to have a lot of defensive breakdowns and defensive mistakes that you wouldn't see a lot of other college teams making. If you guys remember the play in the first half that we watched, it was literally like probably the worst combination of two players on the weak side for Auburn. It was Sharife Cooper and JT Thor on the weak side, and it just totally went to shit. Let's see what JT Thor does here. And again, right here, just little stuff, right? Just it comes in very small packages. But just like the fluidity with his handle right here, right? Going between the legs, that crossover. He kind of has that step back ability where he can kind of rise and fire over that once he gets a little bit more confident in his jump shot. Not confident, I should say, more comfortable with his jump shot because he's very confident in terms of shooting. But you can kind of see the appeal right there just with those combo dribble moves that he kind of does have in his bag. We talked about Jaden Springer earlier today, right? And how it's like he doesn't really have a bag to go to, right? He's very predictable off the dribble as JT Thor kind of just throws up this, kind of off balance. This would be a better time to kind of just like jump stop, but he kind of gets run off to the baseline and then it's kind of a bad shot selection there. But we talked about how Jaden Springer doesn't really have a bag, right? And so it leads to him being very predictable on his drives, right? And things like that. JT Thor kind of has a solid dribble package for his size and for like somebody who's so raw. That's something that I think he does very well, given just his overall player profile. Right there kind of looked like a deer in headlights. That reminded me of a Chris Webber play right here. 1993, NCAA championship against North Carolina, where he just kind of is like, do I dribble? Do I dribble? Yeah, I'm going to dribble. You know, I think they got a foul called on Davis for Arkansas. So we will skip ahead. Yeah, let's see what happened here. So that's JT Thor. Again, just kind of forcing the issue offensively, right? So like right here, you're going to see him kind of drive towards the basket. And then once he gets into that tight space, just the decision-making, the processing isn't there. Let's run this back and see what he could have done. So they're going to send a double. I would have jump stopped, right? And obviously this is me speaking as a 5'8", like, off-ball guard that played up to freshman year in high school, right? So, like, I'm not, like, you know, I'm not saying if I'm JT Thor in this situation, I could make this read. But right here, just watching the film, right? So you see this guy coming up off the double. I would kick this out to this corner shooter right here. That's probably my first move. But you can see JT Thor is going to try and force this pass, try and thread the needle to this dunker spot, and it just gets lost out of bounds, right? So again, just kind of recognizing like the overall patterns of the game, I think is something that really needs to improve with Thor. And I feel bad. I'm kind of like, you know, harping on a lot of his mistakes, but it hasn't really been a great half for him so far. So, you know, and again, I mentioned it earlier, he's not a first-round guy for me. Right there, pretty good job staying attached on the drive, right? So you're going to see right here, he's going to maybe give Desi Sills a little bit of a step, but that length, again, that's going to be tough to finish through. Jalen Williams with a really nice putback dunk, though. But again, like, he has all the physical tools that you'd want. It's really just going to come down to, like, does his feel for the game improve? Does his shooting improve, right? Things like that. Is he more locked in defensively? We got to travel right here, and is Thor out? Yeah, Thor's going to be out for, like, 10 minutes of YouTube time right here, so I'll skip ahead. How much time is left? 13:30, and so I think he's going to be in at, like, the 7-minute mark, I want to say. I want to say the 8-minute mark. So, yeah, he's in for the final 8 minutes here. And, again, this is a very close game through it all. So, let's see what JT Thor does here. Again, he's kind of being that pressure release for Sharif Cooper. Similar to what we saw last year with Trendon Watford at LSU, right? You're kind of just like, oh, here's a 6'9" guy who's like their secondary point guard almost, right? JT Thor's kind of filling that role just probably because he's the inbounder, right? But still, it's kind of interesting to see where they're using him. We got another turnover, and it's going to be a media timeout, I believe. Nope, never mind. Oh, yeah, this is where it freezes again, and then now we're back. So, again, JT Thor, the low man right here. We got, again, he just swats that, right? And so, again, coming from the weak side, the opposite block, just being able to elevate well and use that devastating length, right? And he just swats that away. And then he almost gets that loose ball, too, but it just kind of went out of bounds on his block. But overall, that's the type of thing that you're buying with JT Thor, trying to play that, you know, like that combo forward spot, being a decent weak side rim protector, hitting open threes, you know, being versatile defensively. That's kind of the JT Thor that teams are betting on. Right after that block, though, just watch this play. Again, it's just going to be a simple back screen, right? JT Thor falls asleep for a second. The lob play is totally opened up, right? And it's just, let's rewind this a little bit more just so we can see the initial. So again, he's going to fall asleep right there, right? See how he turns around like a split second after. I'm going to slow this down right here too, just so we can see a little bit better. So I'll slow it down to 0.75. So just watch JT Thor. Watch Justin Smith move, and then it's like a second later, JT Thor finally realizes that he's gone, and then it's going to free up an easy lob play for Arkansas. So again, we're watching it slow motion. He goes right there, and then see how JT Thor is already letting him go past. Sharif Cooper's being sealed off by, I think that's Desi Sills. Easy lob play. And again, JT Thor can't recover in time. Easy dunk for Arkansas, right? And so those are the types of plays where he can fall asleep often, right? He's still working out all of those issues defensively, just in terms of like keeping that focus and just being totally locked in. So yeah, that's just kind of an issue for JT Thor, kind of just on full display right there. You see right here him being that pressure release with Arkansas's full court extended defense. Let's see what he has here. I don't think he's had his 3 yet, so he will make a 3, I believe. We got another block call here. And that was just a replay of the lob. And here we go again. JT Thor on Justin Smith. This is a kind of a tough matchup for him, too, just because Justin Smith is like one of the smarter players in college basketball. He was a grad transfer from Indiana, played there for 3 years. And then, let's see with JT Thor. Nope, nothing there. Played there for 3 years, comes to Arkansas. He's a very impactful player for them. He's a guy that I think could be a sleeper just because of how good he is defensively. So, yeah, that's just something right here. Did JT Thor make this pass out? Let's watch this drive. Okay, so again, just kind of showing that, he has that that potential that he shows very rarely to beat guys off the dribble, right? Just kind of using that jab step, going with his right hand. This is pretty impressive for a guy who's left-handed and this raw to be this comfortable dribbling it with his right hand, right? And then he's just going to kind of kick that out to the corner three. That's a very good overall play, right? That's kind of showing you perhaps that potential that JT Thor has. I don't think he'll ever be like an average playmaker, right? I think he's always going to be kind of below that Mendoza line in terms of playmaking and creating for others. But if you can do that minimally, given his size and just shooting ability and his comfort level, shooting off the dribble, that could be really used to his advantage, I think. Desi Sills, really nice job getting that lay-in to go. And again, we got Arkansas is trapping Sharife Cooper. That's such a good. I'm just gonna rewind this just because that's really cool. Just like the overall play from Sharife Cooper. It has nothing to do with JT Thor, but just watch this play from Cooper. That's really cool actually. You get that ball screen, split the trap, and then finish over length. Just kind of dodges Jalen Williams. That's really, really impressive. Sharife Cooper is a guy who has been rising on my board. That's gonna be a flop warning, right? He was a guy who I had barely in the first round on my initial big board. He's going to be probably, for sure, I would say top 25 and maybe crack the top 20 for me on my final big board. I really had fallen in love with the playmaking. I think his finishing is a lot better than what I initially gave him credit for. I know the shooting is a little bit rough, but, overall, I kind of buy the creation skills that he brings. Right here, another classic example, JT Thor falling asleep defensively. Desi Sills is going to pick this pocket right here, get an easy layup for Justin Smith, and JT Thor just doesn't really have the footwork or the overall sense of where he is on the floor to really kind of contest that look. And so you can see that Auburn's kind of taking advantage of that youthfulness of Auburn, or Arkansas is kind of taking advantage of that usefulness of Auburn. But there's a three from JT Thor, and again, if he can hit these shots, there's a place for him in the NBA because everyone's looking for a 6'10 shooter right here. The feet are pretty good. He has that kind of left foot in front of the right foot, which I'm fine with, honestly. And then it's just a really pretty release up top. He gets good extension, really nice follow through, and he knocks that three-point shot down. Really, really impressive stuff from Thor. And one of the lone bright spots in a half that he probably wants to forget. We got, looks like they're running a double horns for Arkansas right here. Let's see, we got Thor is on Justin Smith again. And he's just all kind of turned around, right? He was kind of spinning around, right? Where, who do I guard? Things like that. And again, that kind of comes with just overall, it's not all on JT Thor, obviously, right? But he definitely didn't, help mitigate the defensive struggles that Auburn had this past season. And that's going to happen. A bunch of young guys on the same team, that's going to be an issue. We got free throws here. And here we go. So again, now JT Thor is on, I believe. This actually might be a zone. No, it's not a zone. But, so yeah, he's on Moses Moody right here. When I was watching this game initially, I was thinking to myself, oh shit, Moses Moody's going to totally cook JT Thor, right? I promise you, I had not watched this game before prepping the JT Thor video, and so I was just kind of I saw that Thor was on Moses Moody, and I'm just this is not good, right? So I think this is the play where it happens. Just let me know if I'm wrong. Okay, so here we go. JT Thor, Moses Moody. Boom. Moses Moody just dunks all over him. Watch why. Why does this happen, though? This is actually a perfect place to pause it. Watch how JT Thor is reaching, right? He has his hands in the cookie jar. Because he reaches, his footwork gets all fucked up here, and Moses Moody is smart enough of a player, to take advantage of this, and he's just going to beat JT Thor to the spot at the rim. No weak side help from Auburn, and it's going to be an easy dunk, right? But you can see he reaches, and then he kind of trips over his own feet, right? it just kind of messes up his whole coordination because he's too undisciplined reaching for the steal, right? And right there, you can see he kind of like trips over his own feet again. Like he's slow to get back, and Moses Moody just drops the hammer on Auburn right there. And so that's just kind of the play where, you know, you're kind of seeing like the lack of discipline that Thor has defensively, just in terms of just like, you know, knowing when to reach for steals. You know, he should be realizing that he has no weak side help there, right? And then he should realize that he has no weak side help, right? And so he should probably be a little bit more conservative, right, in terms of his approach. But he's going all out. He's going for that steal. He reaches. Moses Moody gets by him. JT Thor's footwork is not great, and it leads to the easy dunk for Arkansas in a critical spot in the game, right? So again, the defensive mistakes have kind of been on full display here, I would say. Now it looks like Auburn's in a zone. JT Thor had to bust his ass to get back to the low block. Good job by him. Decent contest right there. Desi Sills with a really nice layup. That was a decent bounce back possession from Thor. And again, the effort, the hustle will never really be a concern for me. And I think that's kind of a trend with a lot of these guys this year. I think this is a very good hustle class, in the sense that a lot of these guys are always pretty much, you know, from like a hustle standpoint, I think it's all very solid. You know, there's not a lot of guys who I question the overall work ethic with, which is good. You know, so JT Thor does have that going for him defensively, and so it's going to be kind of come down to like, where does he end up in the draft? Does he get to a team that can afford to be patient with him? You know, let him develop. Does he play, you know, on the perimeter? Do they kind of try and make him? Actually, no, that's not a question. He's definitely going to be a perimeter guy in the NBA offensively. But it's just kind of be like, how patient are they? You know, like how many chances are they willing to give him? Because the team that drafts him better be aware that they're in for the long haul here. This is a slow baking cake, not a guy that's going to come in and contribute right away. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking at, like, if he's going to go in the first round, which I think a lot of mocks have him expected to be, honestly, a team that really jumps out to me, they have 2 picks back-to-back in the first round, and that's the Houston Rockets at 23 and 24. They could totally afford to take a flyer on a guy like JT Thor. You know, I think that's kind of where, you know, that's where I would personally, if I'm a GM for the Rockets and kind of just seeing where the board shakes out, you're probably going to get Jalen Green at 2, right? And then at 23 and 24, you can really take some high upside potential guys. If he does slip to, like, let's say the Bulls at 38, I love this pick for them, right? Because that's perfectly right in line with where I have him on my big board. And then obviously in that 30 to 40 range, he's going to have the highest upside of most of those guys there. You can see Thor right here, though, will run this back. Just kind of like, right, just kind of trying to force this pass through windows, right? It's kind of like, I've been getting into a lot of disc golf recently, right? And so one thing that I try to avoid is just trying to throw the disc in between branches, right? Because I know that I cannot just get the disc through that window and it's going to get knocked down by a tree branch. It's going to go somewhere into the bushes. I'm going to have to look for it forever, right? JT Thor could probably take an example, a lesson from my book in terms of disc golf, right? So right here, we're going to see him try and force this pass through 2 outstretched arms of Arkansas defenders, right? So like right here, Moses Moody, I think it's going to be Justin Smith, right? You can see both hands are kind of right there. Thor has literally no window. And again, just a simple, just take your time, don't rush, and kick it out to number 23 right here, right? That's a much simpler play. And I think it's going to lead to basically it's like a hospital ball collision on the floor. I think they're calling a foul on Arkansas. Yeah. So I believe Auburn's going to be in the bonus where they're shooting free throws. But yeah, just kind of like, just the feel for the game definitely needs to improve. And you can kind of acknowledge both things, right? You can acknowledge, you know, that he's a very high upside guy, but with that, there's also a very low ceiling for him, right? There's a lot of volatility in terms of his outcomes for his NBA career. And that's just kind of the book on JT Thor. Just in a nutshell, like high upside, pretty low downside. It just kind of comes down to fit, patience, and just overall hard work and just getting in the gym, right? Good rebound right there, way to be physical. We're going to see him, I think we're shooting free throws here. So that first one's going to miss, but again, I have no issues with the form, which I think is pretty impressive. A lot of times these project picks, right? will have something like so bad about their shot, right? It'll be on the other side of their head. It'll be like there'll be a major hitch. It'll be like a weird set shot where they bring it down from their waist and shoot it. There's like no off the dribble thing whatsoever. Thor doesn't have any of those issues with the shot. And right here you can see the free throw. Again, very smooth, easy release, perfect switch on the free throw. I believe he was a 74%. Yeah, 74% free throw shooter, so there is hope on that end for him. And that's something that I think I would be banking on if I'm a team that's drafting him. So, again, right there, devastating length, right? Using his long arms, right? His good vertical. On defending inbounds passes, this is like the one place where he can kind of be JT Thor, right? He can be aggressive. He can be kind of wild. He can be pretty frantic with his arms. And so I like that Bruce Pearl is putting him on the ball in these press situations, right? And it clearly pays dividends right here. He's going to get a deflection, just mirroring the ball, right? Get that deflection, leads to a steal for Auburn. And then not an easy layup, but a foul, right? And that's all happening because JT Thor is just using that length, right? You can see him just gets that deflection, boom, He's had a good last few minutes here, I will say. Probably his best stretch of the game from like the post to Moody dunk. He's been pretty good. And here we go. We got Auburn pressing again. Again, just trying to... And again, JT Thor. Look at that. JT Thor, again. This is where, again, in the full court press, it's not common at all in the NBA. But if you just kind of give him some leeway to kind of just work, and just kind of be himself, right? Like if he can just, kind of gamble for stuff without major repercussions like there are in the half court, right? Like, he's actually a very active and fun defender to watch. Right here, another classic example, just using that length, right, and getting his hands on the ball. Perfect time to reach, and again, JT Thor misses the layup right there, so that needs to be worked on, but Sharife Cooper is right there for the follow. And we got a three-point ball game because JT Thor's energy and effort defensively, right? And so that's something that I think is really going to be something that a team needs to tap into to get the most out of him. Just having him be a disruptor defensively. If they're going to run a little bit of zone, have JT Thor be the top guy in that zone, right? Have him provide ball pressure. You know what I mean? Make him as comfortable as possible and you try to minimize the risk associated with playing him defensively, right? That's always going to be the key. We got an air ball for Arkansas right here. So you just got to put him in spots, especially early, where he can kind of just like capitalize the most and also hurt you the least, And so for me, that would be like having him, guard point guards 94 feet, right? Like, why not? You know what I mean? If he gets beat, he gets beat. There's help defense there. You know what I mean? Obviously, you never want to get beat, and it's always going to create some sort of advantage, but that's an easier advantage to mitigate defensively, I think, than having him be like right here where he has to defend against back screens and backdoor cuts, right, where he is shown to struggle. So again, I kind of like him as kind of just like this big, he can defend point guards maybe just because of that length and fluidity, the lateral quickness that he definitely has. That's kind of something where he can kind of be a game breaker defensively, which is something that I think could come in handy really just very well for him. We got 25 seconds left. You can see Arkansas's up one. Shot clock violation here. This is going to be the Sharife Cooper layup that he gets blocked on, I believe. You can see JT Thor in that right corner. I think he's pretty sure that he's not getting the ball here. And again, it's going to be just a high pick and roll for Sharife Cooper. He's going to kind of be the guy. JT Thor cutting baseline. I think Moody got that block. Pretty good effort from him. Moody's a guy that, again, he's going to be another really, really just solid pro. Remember, he's kind of like he's kind of like a high-end Royce O'Neal, right? You see what he's doing with Utah in the playoffs, or what he was doing with Utah in the playoffs, and I think that's kind of a similar outcome for him, just because he can defend up a few positions, right? Great shooter, can make defenses pay off of kickouts, struggles in terms of creating his own shot, but he can definitely attack closeouts, as we saw against JT Thor, right? And he's going to be probably late lottery guy for me, I would say. I don't think I see him falling past 14, but he's not going to be above 10. So kind of in that 11 to 14 range for me. And I think that gets him to a good team, whether it be Charlotte. I'm trying to think who's 12. I know 14 is Golden State because that's where I had him mocked. San Antonio would be cool for him, I think, even though they have a pretty solid glut of wings and guards. And I'm trying to think who's 13. That would be the... Damn it, why can't I think of who 13 is in the draft? Regardless, so I think 14, Golden State at 14 would be chef's kiss. You know, that would be perfect for him. I think he missed that first free throw, and then he's going to make this second one. Not much going on here. Final 2 seconds. Alan Flanagan's going to launch. Can't get that one to go. That's the end of it. So I'll pause the video right here. I want to see who 13 is really quick, though. I can't, like, leave this, you know, NBA draft order. Why can't I think of who 13 is? Damn it, Bobby. You should know this. Come on, come on, come on, come on. The order. Draft selections. I'm going to, like, be kicking myself. The Pacers. The Pacers are meh. I would say that's not great for him. I like Charlotte and I like Golden State for Moody, though. I think those two spots would be pretty good, even though I have Kai Jones going 11 to Charlotte, and I think that would be just, like, the best pick possible for them. But regardless, got off topic there for a little bit. Overall, though, JT Thor, I hope you guys saw, you know, what makes him so intriguing to scouts in terms of his upside, and also, like, the very real concerns with him in terms of his, you know, lack of focus at times, just kind of his defensive rawness, you know, the inability to stay disciplined at times, right? But then you also see kind of like in these last few minutes where he can be unleashed, right? Kind of just terrorizing smaller guards and like in full court situations. He can get deflections pretty easily. He can pick people's pockets. And then offensively, I think the shot looks good, even though he didn't shoot it very well. You know, the eye test kind of suggests that I think he would be a better shooter than what he showed in college. And then, yeah, it just kind of come down to like how patient is a team with him. You know, I said that he's probably better off going in the early second round. Or not better off, but just kind of like, you know, for me, I would rather have him be taken in the second round than the first round. But again, like I'm looking at Houston at 23 and 24. If they want to take a guy like JT Thor, I'd have no issues with that whatsoever. But yeah, you know, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thank you all for your continued support of the channel. Really appreciate it. You know, thanks for the shout outs on like various forums. I can see like, you know, the Kings forum has shouted me out a few times. Reddit for the Golden State Warriors. The Cavs have. The Rockets have. So thanks all you guys for doing that. I really appreciate it. And yeah, stay tuned for later. I think we're going to do Alperen Sengun. I know a lot of you guys have been clamoring for him. So stay tuned for that. That's probably going to come out later today, if not early tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.